have you ever been in an emergency like this in any kind of transportation thing or not?
I was on a private plane once where there were some concerns. I wouldn't say it had really gotten to this level. I certainly didn't have to crawl into the cockpit and land the plane. But I understand people's fear of flying. I mean, I started flying at a very early age. My mom would ship me off to my grandparents at like 6 or 7. So I don't have a fear of flying, like at all. And actually, you know, after the experience I had, the wonderful experience I had on this film, I'm considering getting my pilot's license. I think it'd be
You
really,
should.
really amazing. Yeah.
Look how good you are. You can help somebody. You know, what is that like when you're going through things that, what is this? I don't know what these words are, what they mean. How do you get a grasp on that so that you can convey it in the right way?
That's a great point. You know, I had to look basically everything up. There's a lot of aviation jargon specifically for my character, and I definitely had to at least have a cursory understanding of what I was talking about. Certainly walked away from this movie with a greater appreciation for aviation and for pilots.
When you're sitting there and you're like giving them instructions, who are you talking to? Is somebody else reading the lines and things to you? Or, I mean, because you're good at being intense in those situations. I'm going, who is he talking to? I'm sure they're not there.
Thank you. That's a high compliment. I appreciate that. Generally talking to, you know, either the assistant director or sometimes like your stand-in. Really anyone who's available to read the dialogue off camera. And you know, I'll be honest with you, not a lot of care is taken when, you know, someone's reading this dialogue off camera. It's usually pretty flat and monotone. You know,
Okay,
you
we're
can
having
ask
trouble.
them,
Help us.
yeah, you can ask them to
Right.
pump it up a little bit, but it's really, you know, it's our job to bring all that emotion and energy to our performance. You know, I mean, that's
Did
what
you
we do
meet
as
the real
actors.
guy?
I
Did
didn't
you
get
meet
to meet.
Carrie or not?
I didn't get to meet Carrie, unfortunately. Hopefully, I'll get to meet him in the future. But I just basically looked up everything I could find on him: print interviews, what little video there was of him out there. But I mean, the picture that was painted of him within our script was more than enough, you know, for me to grab hold of as an actor.
Sure. This coming at this time in your career, what is that telling you? Are you going in another direction? Is there something new that we're seeing with this film?
Well, it's funny that you ask that. I mean, that's the plan. I mean, you know, I definitely want to move away from the matinee idol and move into more serious roles and, you know, work with, you know, more producers and directors that I really respect. I mean, such a great team on this project with Roma Downey, Autumn Bailey Ford, Sean McNamara, who I had previously worked with, and I was really excited to get the opportunity to work with again. I think it was the right team on this one with the right script, and you know, I'm really proud of what they produced. I mean, it's a very watchable movie that really keeps you on the edge of your seat.
You know, they talk about this being a faith film or a faith-based film, and I don't think that I wouldn't use those terms for it. I think the faith is underlying, but it
Absolutely.
isn't something that hits you over the head. You know what I mean? Where a lot of
I
those
agree
films
with
that
you.
are like, oh, I'm not going to that. No
Yeah, no,
way.
I agree with you completely. I mean, honestly, I don't consider this a faith-based movie at all, and I think this movie is of the caliber that, you know, could have gotten a theatrical release. I mean, it's a different landscape these days. Very happy to have been picked up by Amazon Prime Video. They're really behind the movie. Yeah, I mean, you know, when people believe in a project and they know that the content is good, I mean, it's a good feeling, you know, to have that kind of momentum.
Take me back to those days of Desperate Housewives. How really unreal was that?
It was incredibly unreal. I didn't anticipate the success of that show at all. Coming off of daytime television, moving into a nighttime show, but that felt very daytime. It was a easy transition. I mean, look, it wasn't the most challenging role in the world, but I tried to bring, you know, vulnerability and depth to the role. But I mean, it was a whirlwind, you know, that just like kind of swept me right off my feet. I didn't anticipate the success, and to still be talking about the show 20 years later, I mean, I guess it's achieved some level of, iconic television status, which is something I'm proud to have been part of.
Did it just kind of throw you coming so early in your career, or was it?
I had been in the business for 5 years on daytime television, but I mean, daytime television and prime time are just, they're night and day.
Worlds apart.
They really are.
Yeah.
You can work on daytime your entire career, and the average person might not know your name. So to become a household name pretty much overnight was definitely interesting.
Was it good to learn those lessons early on, or do you say, "Oh, I'd be much more prepared now if I had that like real heat"?
Well, hindsight is 20/20, so I'd be much more prepared now, definitely. And I'd like to think, I'll have some of those big opportunities again. I mean, I'd like to believe that the best of my career is still ahead of me.
Not here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know I'm ready for it now, that's for sure.
All we need to look at is this year's Best Picture winner, and you look at those people and you
I
say,
know.
all of them were at some point told you're out of the game. And look at them now; they're on top of the game. So it's very,
Everyone's only one
encouraging.
project away,
Right. This
Yeah.
could be yours. You never know. Then you have your kind of, I love to see these different periods that you've had. You have your Hallmark period. What is that world like?
Well, I mean, the Hallmark Channel was very, very good to me. They allowed me to executive produce some projects with them and kind of, be involved in the creative and the casting of those projects. I really learned a lot during my Hallmark period. And, I'm proud of a lot of the work that I created during that period as well, with this show that I did for them called Chesapeake Shores, where I, played, performed, and wrote some of the music for the show.
Right.
I mean, I give 110% to everything that I do. I mean, I'm one of those actors that really cares. Maybe I care a little too much, but, I like to look back at different periods, as you say, and be proud of those periods. So, that was a great time in my career.
In the learning process, do you go, "Oh, that's something I'll never do again," or is it, "Okay, this is how I would change those things up if I did this again"?
Well, there's always lessons. You have to find the lessons in everything you do in life, but specifically in this business, I mean, you want to continue to become a better actor. I am very interested in doing more producing and executive producing, so, you have to learn those lessons, but it's really about, it's about relationships, and it's a very people-oriented business. It's a collaborative art form, and you have to work well with others, and, I mean, those are the best lessons, I think.
What is it like when you want to create something? Is it hard to actually get others on board with you, or what do you, to me, it'd be a big sales job. I'd have to sell others on my vision, and I don't know that I could do it.
Well, producing is a big sales job, isn't it? I mean, generally you're trying to find financing for ideas that you have, and that can be a little soul-sucking at times, because as artists, we don't want to be, making phone calls and sending emails begging people for money. But there's also some great facets to executive producing or producing as well, kind of like being in charge of the entire picture, which sometimes, when you're just an actor on a project, hired to do one specific thing, it can be a little limiting, specifically when you see things that could be better, or, maybe, holes in a story that could be patched up, and you have ideas for that. You're not always in the position to share those ideas.
Would you ever not act? Would that ever be in the cards?
Would I ever not act? Yeah. I think that could be in the cards. I think I would like to move behind the camera, specifically in producing roles, and I have an interest in directing. I mean, I went to New York University for writing and directing, Tisch School of the Arts, but over the years, I've seen how much work directing is. I mean, you're literally, the first person on the set, the last person to leave, and up all night preparing. I think producing might be my lane.
Better.
Yeah.
Is a better thing. You know, and how, forgive me for not knowing what this is like, but when they're judging you to cast you in a role based on a look, how do you deal with that? I would find that very difficult.
Well, a lot of people say that there's a lot of rejection in our business, but I think you can't look at not getting a role as rejection. Because getting a role is like finding a needle in a haystack. You know, there's so many variables as to what producers and directors and casting directors are looking for a specific role. So I think, you know, you have to just put yourself out there, give the best audition possible, and if it doesn't go your way, just let it go. I mean, easier said than done, but
dealing with the rejection would be the very difficult thing. Well, why wasn't I right for this? You know?
exactly. I mean, hey, nobody likes dealing with rejection, but that's life.
It's like, right. What's next then after this? Are you already working on something?
Well, I have 2 other films coming out this year. I mean, 3 actually. One's called The Comic Shop, which is kind of like a Kevin Smith-esque story about a disgruntled comic book store owner who you know, had some trials and tribulations in his life. It's kind of an interesting story. Then I have another one that's on the festival circuit right now called The Latin from Manhattan. And then I have a V.C. Andrews series of movies coming out on Lifetime, where I play a dad in the early 60s. So it's my first dad role, so I'm kind of excited about that. See, I've seen wonk wonk. No, I've seen some of the footage actually doing ADR for the movies, and I play opposite this adorable, you know, effervescent actor, Breck Bassinger, who's from this series Stargirl. I play her father, and it's very, very charming actually. I was really, really pleased with it. I'm excited for people to see it.
Well, you know, if we're ever on a plane together and something happens, I'm calling you into action here. You're going to be helping me land the plane because I know nothing about that. And
you might want to call Dennis, but hey, you know.
Yeah, I would run up and down the aisles going, no, we can't do this. This is not good. This is terrible. But it was very fun to watch you in this. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you so much.
And someday I hope you get to meet him.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too.
You know what he'll say? He'll say, you're better looking than I am. That's how they always roll with that, right?
No, Dennis is great in this movie.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it so much.
Of course.
And great good luck.
Thank you so much, Bruce. My pleasure.